If you celebrate Halloween, are you allowing demons into your home? Or is it actually a Christian holiday that you should absolutely celebrate? That's what we're talking about today on the Things You Don't Hear in Church podcast. My name is Derry.
And my name is Ethan, and make sure to go check us out on all social medias, YouTube, Instagram mainly, and then anywhere else you listen to podcast audio. We're there. Also video on Spotify, so make sure to subscribe to all the places. And that's right, we're talking about Halloween, hence the dressed up. And yes, this is a real crown made by yours truly. And Derry's got his Oculus on.
Yeah, I didn't have
There's a cyborg
costume. So I'm just dressed up in VR.
He is dressed up. You just can't tell because you're not in the metaverse. He's actually
You're not in the metaverse.
Tyrannosaurus Rex right now, and it's a really good costume.
Yeah,
we
you
just
have no idea.
can't tell.
My costume's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a last minute decision to dress up. A Halloween episode a couple weeks beforehand, so you can listen and then get ready to go hang out with your friends and dress up.
Ooh.
And this is a topic we've covered in the past briefly, where we said, "Yeah, don't do it. It's bad." Now, a little bit more study over the years. We're saying the same thing. A little bit more study throughout the years.
The last episode and just start it now.
Yeah, right. This is just a repeat episode. Easy way to get away with another episode. But yeah, there's a lot that has come out in the last year or last couple of years as far as it being a Christian holiday that's become a lot more widely known that probably wasn't as known growing up, I'd say, or else we wouldn't believe it's demonic. But it seems like every year there's people who say, oh, for ex-Satanist says that it's demonic, don't do it. And then it goes viral, right? Like right now we're going to watch a video and this ex-Satanist was featured on CBN and he was talking about how it's a demonic holiday and we shouldn't do it. And it got a lot of attention. And then he went on another guy's podcast. So we're going to be watching that clip and then responding to it and seeing what is the truth about Halloween, what's the history of Halloween, and how can Christians interact with it. You know, one of the questions that you might be asking is like, okay, well, if it was Christian at one point and it's not now, what does that mean for us today? We're going to get into all of that. So stay tuned. And you want to start watching that right now, Derry?
Yeah, one thing I'll say beforehand is you might be watching this episode and you're like, I've already seen a few videos on Instagram about this, and I don't really care.
And this one's way better, so keep watching.
Yeah, but we're going to go into a deep dive of if you actually should practice it, if you shouldn't practice it, if it has Christian origins, if it has pagan origins, if it's evil now or not evil, if you're going to celebrate it, how should you celebrate it? What are like the boundaries and guidelines there? The spiritual aspects of it, going over like the Satanist videos that everybody's watching and how much weight those hold. Or how much reality there is in the spiritual realm from those perspectives. So we're going to go over some good stuff today, I think.
Mm-hmm. And if you were wondering, yes, this is a replica Sting from Lord of the Rings, Frodo's elvish dagger, and it is stainless steel. Very cool. Gift to myself years ago, about 10 years ago, I think I got this. I got my first big boy job. But we'll jump into this video. You ready, Derry?
Did you know that scene was impromptu? Do you know that wasn't planned?
Well, actually, what scene? Because I don't think you're right. Aragorn kicked his toe. His toe. He broke his toe when he kicked the helmet. I mean, that wasn't impromptu. That was scripted, I'm pretty sure. Now, if I got that wrong, whole bunch of Lord of the Rings nerds are going to come for me. And be like, you fake fan? Meh. But I very well could be wrong.
All right, play the video.
No, I don't think I will, actually. I think I'll wait till I want to do it.
Okay, good. Let's keep talking then.
Here we go.
What's your favorite Lord of the Rings movie? Okay.
As a former Satanist, what is your opinion of Halloween?
So I can talk a day about this, a whole day. I want to start with the following. The founder of the Church of Satan had a very well-known quote where and this was Anton LaVey, who founded the Church of Satan and co-founded Satanism as a religion, the first person to do that in the world. There was a very well-known quote where he said, I want to thank Christian parents for allowing their children to celebrate the devil one day of the year. Oh, look it up. Look it up. It's so people still think, and I know in the US, Halloween is big. It's massive. And it's kind of, you know, kind of came over to South Africa a few years ago, where people are now celebrating it in popular culture as well. The reality, the truth about Halloween. Halloween is the highest day on the Satanic calendar. It is the most probably important day on the Satanic calendar. It's considered a high day. It is also the night of the year where there is the most human sacrifice on the whole planet. So if we look at it in a, let's call it the popular culture aspect first. So many people think Halloween is about candy and it's about dress up, but they don't question the meaning behind it. So let's say, for instance, in a neighborhood or an area, there's homes that celebrate Halloween, where they put up the decorations and they do the pumpkins and they do the candles and the candy, those things, right? And it's fun. Let's say in a neighborhood, there is houses that do that. So that whole perimeter becomes one big satanic ritual for that whole neighborhood.
Wait. So you're telling me, because I've got them already up, it's September. There's skeletons, there's creepy stuff in our neighborhood already. So you're saying my neighborhood right now is cooked? Like, what are you saying there?
So I'm saying that in a neighborhood or a area perimeter where there is a few homes, that is already a set up as in terms of a hotspot for demonic activity. And anybody, whether they're Christian or non-Christian, that have open doors, that moves or lives in a neighborhood like that will be affected. That's what I'm saying.
All right, so there's a whole lot there, right? A whole lot of statements made and questions you might have, like, oh my gosh, if that's true, that's terrifying. I don't want to partake, and if there's demonic stuff going on, that's a right response. You don't want to partake in demonic activity. I wouldn't encourage it. Neither would Derry. That's a pretty standard Christian thing to do. But we do want to test every claim, right?
Also glorifies God.
Well, demonic activity does not glorify God, but
it being destroyed does.
You could destroy the demonic.
They got to be active for God to shut them down.
Oh, you're making some people mad with that.
Just saying.
But yeah, so
there's no reason to shut them down.
That could be something that would be, this whole thing video could be concerning to a lot of people. Now, here's the thing about that quote about, like, I'm glad that Christian parents let their children worship the devil one day of the year. Excuse me. He said, look it up. I did. I can't find any source date like showing that that's an accurate quote. It's quoted to him. It's attributed to him. Many people say Anton LaVey said this, but that's all we have as far as I can find in my research is tons of people just saying he said it. But it's like, it's not in a book that anyone can find. It's not in a journal. I don't know how long ago Anton LaVey lived, but it's not like anyone wrote down a conversation with he had or recorded him. So we don't have anything to say for sure he said that. It's a lot of like, trust me, bro stuff. So unless Derry found something I didn't find, that is kind of the first place I start where I'm like, okay, did he actually say that? Like, how can we know that for sure? Because that would give us some pause into testing the other claims or thinking about the other things being said, if that would be wrong. Do you have something?
This man a liar, Ethan?
I don't know. I don't think he's like maliciously lying. I think he's probably just
sounds like you're calling him a liar,
listening to wrong things and believing they're true. But that's one of the questions, right? If he's an ex-Satanist and he's saying this is what we believe,
sure.
I've never been a Satanist. I don't know any Satanists, so I wouldn't be able to verify that.
Sure.
But again, it just goes back to like, I just have to take your word for it. But even if he did say that, does that mean that people are actually worshiping the devil? Does that mean it's actually off limits for Christians? So we're going to get into all of that. And I thought it was hilarious that we both pressed play on the video, both of us dipped out for a second to put our costumes away. That was hilarious.
Mine was hot and sweaty.
All right. So where do you want to take this, Derry?
Yeah. So, I mean, you have the first quote there, and then he mentions a few things, right, that we can talk about before we go into like our own notes on the holiday. But the second thing he says is that it's the highest day on the satanic calendar, right? And that should be significant to us. I think that maybe that's good to know. Like, good to know that that's the highest day on the Satanic calendar. Like, it's not the highest day on my calendar, though. Like, it doesn't like affect me that much. You know what I mean? Nothing like it all depends on like what you believe about the spiritual realm. Like, there's a lot of religions that are demonic. Every other religion that's not Christianity is by definition demonic. They can all have their most favorite holidays. I don't think about it ever. You know what I mean? Like, the only reason I would think about it is for intercessory purposes, maybe. Spiritual warfare, evangelization, something like that. But I'm not worried myself about other people's sacred holidays. Do you agree with that, Ethan?
Yeah, definitely. And there are some things, right, where it's like, if on holidays things are done to the demonic, then you're not supposed to partake. That still is a binding rule on Christians from Paul. For example, when I was in Fiji, we were talking to them, and they have a high Indian population there. And I think it's Diwali. They make these treats, and they offer them to their gods, and then they sell them, and they give them out, like, and they just hand them out for fun. They're like, apparently delicious treats. But everyone knows they're offered to gods, right? And the New Testament specifically says, if something is sacrificed, specifically food, it says if a food is sacrificed to demons and you know it, don't eat it. And so the Christians came to the conclusion, they're like, oh, we can't partake in this because we know this is sacrificed to demons or to demons and their gods. So we're not going to partake. So that's like a fair reason to refuse to partake in the holiday if there's something like that. But, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, but like when it gets to like what Halloween is in America, it's not obvious that very much like, yes, people are dressing up in skeletons and witches and like, you know, I don't think that is good. Don't dress up like evil things, but it's not like inherently evil where it's, you know, like you can't point to, I don't know, going to your friend's house dressed up as Batman and hanging out with their friends as inherently demonic. And you can't point to trick-or-treating as inherently, like, there's nothing there you can say like that is the sinful thing, and to say like, oh, that is just by merely decorating your house is partaking in a satanic ritual. It's like, how? Like, again, these are claims that are being made, but they're not substantiated, which makes me think like, man, it'd be really interesting to like if we could have a conversation with him and like kind of push back, because I think people have him on and just accept what he says without question. Obviously, I haven't watched a lot of his interviews, if any, really. So I could be wrong. Maybe people do push back and he does explain. But it would be an interesting question like, oh yeah, what makes it demonic? Because people who practice witchcraft are doing it? Okay, so then how much of other things that people at witchcraft people practice is now off limits for me?
Yeah, that's good. I think we can look at Corinthians and like you see the nuances here of like what you can and can't do when it comes to like spiritual warfare and demons, because you brought up the meat sacrifice to idols passage from the Old Testament, from the Levitical law.
Oh, that's the New Testament.
I know, but it's originally from the Levitical law, and then Paul says in the context that you can't drink from the cup that is a participation with demons in Corinthians 10. So you can't actively participate in worship of demons, but you can eat meat that you might buy in the market that is sacrificed to demons.
Right. That's why I gave that disclaimer about knowing.
That's as long as you're not causing your brother to stumble, like like Corinthians 8 talks about, or if you're ignorant of it. Like, the point is, don't worship. Like, otherwise, it's nothing. Like, if there's an idol that has a curse on it, or there's a meat that's been sacrificed to a demon or whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you're worshiping that thing, then it does matter. If you're eating it symbolically, then it does matter. Or if it's causing someone to stumble, it does matter. That's my current perception of it. Is that what you think too?
I do. Yeah, it's about the knowing, right? So Paul says as far as the meat, he's like, don't ask, like, I don't worry about being in the marketplace and saying like, oh, this was probably sacrificed, so I can't have any, because pretty much all the meat sold in the marketplace was offered to a demon or an idol. So in that context, he's like, look, just go buy the food. Like, don't worry about it. And then there's somewhere else where he kind of gives the more descriptive nuance, like, if you're positive, like, you know, someone came over, they're like, hey, I just sacrificed to my God. Do you want this? And they tell you, it's like, no, you don't do that. So you don't want to do that. But it's the knowing and that stuff. So The one thing that'd be interesting about the Halloween thing and this though is like, what about if it makes your brother to stumble, right? So maybe we can get there later because I think we should probably set up why we think Halloween's a Christian holiday that's okay first, and then respond to possible accusations or questions people might have after. Or do you want to do that reverse?
Sorry, I'm getting a phone call.
Oh.
My phone is my camera, and so when I get a phone call,
Right. It didn't disconnect on my end.
Sorry, okay,
so
I'm back.
you're good here.
Perfect. Well, I wanted to do the two other claims that he has in the video. So he said that it's the highest holiday, and then he says there's the most human sacrifice on that day. And then he said we ignore the meaning behind Halloween, right? And so the meaning behind Halloween will for sure lead us into like what we think our meaning is. But I think it's good to distinguish, and maybe this will kind of talk about his video a little more. It's good to distinguish like meaning for who, right? Like the Halloween has a lot of meaning to a Satanist that is different from the meaning that it has to a Christian. Okay. And somebody who's celebrating Chinese New Year, like that day is going to have different meaning to Chinese people than it will to me, because I usually don't celebrate Chinese New Year for what it is. I maybe will celebrate something else. Who knows? Whatever I want to do that day. But because we're going to get into the origins of Halloween, we have different traditions about Halloween than Satanists. The meaning is going to be different. So there might be a debate there of whose meaning wins out and what's okay to practice. So that's where the nuance and like the good conversation is going to come from. But yeah, let's get into the origins. It'll be good to go over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you want to say more about the claims about like the highest day in the satanic calendar and if that means anything in human sacrifice?
I'm okay.
Okay, because how I look at that is like, okay, so people are doing sinful things on this day. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean that it's off limit for every Christian, right? Because on the 4th of July, people are doing sinful activities on the 4th of July. Maybe the witches aren't, trying to sacrifice people and kill people, which we know they do still. Maybe that's not something, but like, I don't know, is trying to hook up with someone and, do all and get drunk and high and all that. That's still sinful and bad. So would that mean that we don't want to do that? That's kind of how I look at it. Or like, for example, the Super Bowl. Like there's a lot of claims that like at the Super Bowl, there's a lot of sex trafficking that goes on, drug trafficking at the Super Bowl because it's a ton of people there. And it's crazy. So should I not go to a Super Bowl party at my friend's house because like evil, sinful things happen? And we'd probably say like, oh no, that's like, yeah, we don't want to support that stuff, but I can still watch the game and I'm not supporting those things. And so just because people are doing a sinful thing on that day doesn't mean that it's now off limits or that I'm supporting what they're doing. That's a big thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it seems like they have this idea that the Halloween is copyrighted by the devil and Satanists, and that therefore because the Satanists have it, that like no Christian can do anything. But like we're going to get into, it's actually like, reverse on you. This is a Christian holiday and we're going to celebrate this. And there's ways to do it holy and there's ways to do it immoral, just like there's ways to do every holiday holy and immoral. So yeah, let's get into those origins and kind of help people understand where this came from.
You want me to or you want to?
I'll just say a little bit. You have a lot more probably than I do on the origins. I have a bit on the Druids. I don't know if you have that as well, but the Druids in Ireland, if you like ask people why they think it's wrong, the Druids in Ireland before around like 2,000 years ago apparently had a holiday called Samhain or Samhain that they celebrated on October 31st, and they had this idea that the physical realm and spiritual realm were like, the walls between them were gray and you could access them better, and like the spirits of the dead would return home. And so a lot of people look at that as like the demonic stuff like that. But that was just the Druids in Ireland 2,000 years ago. What we have today as far as like trick-or-treating, lots of things like that, come from other cultures that Derry and I will discuss a bit. But then also I read an article about the Druids and they're like, yeah, they carved the potatoes, and like the Druids would carve like how we carve jack-o'-lanterns. They would carve in the potatoes. And I asked ChatGPT about some of the article I quoted. I was like, is this true? And it read it and it was like, no. They're like, the potatoes weren't in Ireland at the time of the Druids. And I was like, really? So I went to do some, I looked at that and it was like, yeah, the potatoes came to Ireland around 1500. And like the Druids were around like year 2000. So I was like, wait, or like 2000 years ago. Sorry, not 20 years ago. But I was like, wait a second. I was like, there were no potatoes there. So this whole article that was trying to talk about the evil origins of Halloween didn't get its basic historical fact right about how they carved into potatoes and stuff like that. So kind of gave me some suspect, like, okay, if you're going to say all this is bad and you can't even get these right, it kind of gives you pause on like what else in the article is wrong. So
yeah,
that's a little bit, but yeah, I know we got some stuff with the French and other European cultures before America that we're going to get into. So go for it, Derry.
Sure. On the jack-o'-lanterns thing, that's actually funny. From my understanding, they're actually from Catholic origins, because a lot of Irish Catholics would they would carve out like beets and stuff like that, and then they would put a candle inside of them, and then like pray as a guide for souls in purgatory. Like
that's probably true because the Druids didn't have potatoes to carve, so that article's wrong. So it's like, yeah.
So interesting.
The Catholics are wrong too. You can't help souls in purgatory, so because purgatory doesn't exist
yet. But yeah. So okay, the history for Samhain and all that kind of stuff is pretty recent, right? Like Samhain's not that old. Did you have the date of that, Ethan? I can't remember.
Oh, I said everything I heard was about like 2,000 years ago, like before Christianity came.
I don't think Samhain's that old. Look her up.
I am. I thought it was.
Do a quick Google search.
Okay, it says, evidence suggests its celebration is thousands of years old, is possibly dating back to at least 5,000 years ago. In your face, Derry.
Oh.
In your beautiful face.
I don't think that's true.
That's the AI overview. You can't argue with that. That's
true. I can't argue with that.
The Irish Soda Breadway website has some.
The history that I've read does not. I don't think that there's confirmation. Like maybe there's myth that it goes back that far, but I don't think we have like actual scholarship that says that it goes back that far. At least for like the practices of what they did at Samhain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's like the 9th and 10th century.
I'm looking right now on, but you can go ahead with the rest of your stuff there, and I'll let you know.
True. Okay, so the history of Halloween for Christians, at least, was originally a Christian holiday, not Samhain. We had nothing to do with that. Completely different part. And so it was the eve of All Saints' Day. A lot of you maybe have heard this before. All Saints' Day was a holiday on the first day of November that celebrated and honored different martyrs. And it goes back to like the 4th century. So it's just a day that the church would gather and they would honor all of the martyrs that had given their lives for Christianity. And the night before, they would call basically Hallows Eve, or like Holy Eve. And it was like the pre-celebration to All Saints' Day, All Hallows Eve. And that's where we get the word Halloween. All Hallows Eve, Halloween. That's kind of where you get that connection there. And that was just simply it. Like it had nothing to do with Samhain, didn't come from Samhain, was literally on the 31st, was just a celebration of those saints. And now over the years, it's morphed and changed in different Christian traditions based off of what Christians found valuable in that holiday. And so you have the connection to the dead, people wearing skeletons, and all this kind of stuff, people dressing up as a evolution of the holiday throughout time for, or I guess to help people remember in a better way these martyrs. So it's a realization of death. It's a realization of what Christ has done to conquer death, to show like the true triumph of these martyrs, that yes, like their lives were taken, but who was ultimately victorious. And so a lot of the things that we see today, like people dressing up as skeletons, or just the remembrance of death in a lot of the imagery, is all like a making fun of, originally was a making fun of like what death actually tried to do, and that what Christ overcame in death, defeating it. And so in my opinion, like all of the kind of darker themes of Halloween are actually still, like they're still good. Like I think we should, if we're going to celebrate Halloween, you should keep some of those things, because to embody what death is supposed to be and then like make fun of it, like we're mocking it, like that is what Christ has done. He's destroyed all of the power that death has. And so now we mock it and we remember the saints, we remember the martyrs and what they've done, and we rejoice because of the power that Christ has taken and won from death, basically.
Mm-hmm.
What are you finding?
Yeah, here and there, some sources are saying 9th century, some are saying even like around 100. So I'm just trying to ask for sources from ChatGPT about this. Yeah, 500 BCE to 100 CE. It says, I'm asking for some sources, but whatever it is, you know, the Irish had Samhain for some time and for a while, and if maybe they, and then when the you know, the Catholics, I think it was, or the whatever, the Christians got there, they kind of, when they repented, they introduced like All Souls Day, like you're talking about, and they kind of changed it a bit. So it did like kind of reform their holiday and their culture to be a little bit more Christian. And it is really interesting that the idea of like dressing up as the dead to remind ourselves that we're mortal, that's like a really cool, like, that's really cool. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Now, I don't think that, you know, people should dress up in things today that's ungodly. Like, I don't think a skeleton's probably the worst thing to choose, because it's like, yeah, if you're doing it for the significance that it represents your mortal. But other things that are like, I don't know, like you're a witch. It's like, because witchcraft is a real thing that goes on and people are like really hurting people doing that, probably shouldn't do that. And I could be consistent and be like, yeah, I probably wouldn't want my kid dressing up like a Muslim or a Hindu, because it's like, that is like a real thing that people are like worshiping another god. And like, you know, but dressing up as your favorite character from, you know, Marvel, fine. Dressing up as Batman, super cool.
Very based.
I say that though, and I'm thinking right now, like I was thinking about doing Avatar Last Airbender, but I had my reservations because his outfit's like a Thai Buddhist monk outfit, basically. And so I'm like, but he is a monk, but I'm like, it's a fictional world. It's not like religious, but its inspiration was religious. I also could do One Punch Man. That'd be pretty sick too.
You could. Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think you can dress up as long as you're intentional with it, right? Like, don't be wearing anything that's maybe scandalous. So be modest, and then maybe things that are culturally or religiously provocative or offensive, maybe stray away from, but have fun at the same time, right? Like, there's lots of great costumes that are very fun that aren't going to be terrible. You know what I mean? On the Samhain and history part of this, going back to that, they originate from completely different places as well. Like All Saints Day originates from Rome, and then Samhain is from the Irish. And so you have, like, yes, it is brought over to Ireland, and then they're kind of mixed there, but they're completely separate in origin. And so you can't say that like it came from Samhain, like this is our holiday. Like, the popularization of it is from the Christian version of it. Like, the Irish didn't popularize it, Christians popularized it. Just because there was another holiday that existed on a different day doesn't mean that that's the origins of what we celebrate today. The origins of what we celebrate today is the Christian version of it. It's just been westernized and made into something that is not, basically.
Right. And it's been very commercialized. That's another part where it's like, in my mind, less demonic, is like, this has just become a very marketable holiday. Like, it's now in my mind neither Christian nor pagan. It's just, I mean, maybe you could say Jesus says you're either with me or against me, you either gather or scatter. So because Jesus draws that line, so maybe it's like, if it's not Christian, it is pagan. But it's not like people who are non-Christians are going to worship Satan, right? Like, no one taking their kids out who's not a Christian on Halloween. It's like, time to go worship Satan. They're like, all right, let's go take our kids to go trick-or-treating. And so for that reason, it's like, yeah, it's neither like here nor there almost. Like, Christian, it's definitely not like no one associates Halloween in America with Christianity. You know, maybe we're trying to get that back a bit, but no one would, right? And that, you just got to be fair about that. And no one also, you would say like, hey, is this like for witchcraft and eat demons? I don't think people would be like, yeah, it is. Now, there is an argument to be made that it leans more that way if it's a needle, right? And it's like one's righteous, one's unholy. Sure. People do pull more into that darker side during Halloween, and that's just evident in the decorations that they put out with like ghosts hanging from the trees and skeletons and graveyards. I saw one the other day where it was like a human skeleton being cooked over a fire, and I thought, that's a pretty dark decoration. Like, that's human sacrifice and killing them and cooking them. That's pretty gross.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it might lean that way, but does that mean that it's inherently evil and that Christians can't do it? I don't think so.
Sure. Don't have anything to do, like Christ says, don't have anything to do with those things. Like the evil parts of it don't have anything to do with. But you can have stuff to do with the good parts of it, right? Because it's originally ours. Mm-hmm. Like people do evil things on every holiday.
Yeah, do you think that idea of like have nothing to do with the evil deeds of darkness, but even expose them which is in the Bible, would mean like, okay, don't celebrate Halloween at all? Do you think or do you think there's some leeway where it's like, okay, don't have anything to do with the evil deeds of darkness? What are the evil deeds of darkness? Okay, those evil deeds are witchcraft, are drunkenness, are debauchery, are, for lack of a better word, slutty costumes, stuff like that. So don't have anything to do with that stuff, those individual things. But you don't have to like write off the whole holiday wholesale. Because then if it's if people are doing evil things and that's why you have to ignore the holiday, then we're going to not celebrate a lot of holidays.
I think about it this way. Like on Christmas and Easter, there's a lot of people who do a lot of sinful things as well. Like a lot of people overindulge. A lot of people get drunk, do lots of crazy stuff, and get wild. And the same as Halloween. That doesn't make it any less a Christian holiday. That doesn't make it a holiday I shouldn't celebrate. Like if Halloween is originally a Christian holiday, I'm allowed to celebrate it, even though other people celebrate it in an evil way. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's Christian ways to do it. Yeah, there's also just like, you can't point to what's like, you have to substantiate why it's demonic. And I know that people don't like doing that. Like, people like the ex-Satanist coming on and saying it's demonic. I was an ex-Satanist, therefore I'm right. But it's like you have to demonstrate, and I think like establish through scripture, like or point to like what is it that is demonic, and can you prove that? And if you can't show that the individual things are demonic, then then why are we? It seems like we're just trying to talk about that for a soundbite, maybe, and whatnot. But why do you think this has become a popular take among mainly American evangelicals? Like, what do you think? Why do you think historically it's become this thing that is associated with demons?
I mean, I think the enemy's just twisted it over time. Like, we've lost the roots of the holiday, and the enemy loves to take whatever ground he can. And so any holiday, we've seen it, like the enemy tries to get us to overindulge in maybe for Christmas, in like spending a ton of money and caring a lot about these material things and materialism, and being mad when we don't get certain stuff, and division in that way. Like the enemy's always going to try to corrupt what is good and holy, and for the Lord. And so he's just done a really good job with this holiday in particular. Like, it has good, darker origins, right? Like a remembrance of death, like a memento mori kind of thing, and something that like should be remembered, should be celebrated. But because our culture is a little bit afraid of like those darker themes, it's really easy for the enemy to take ground there and just twist and manipulate them into being very demonic. And people are very attracted to things that are against the Lord. And it's really easy for Halloween to be turned into that, in my perspective, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's definitely the case that like, yeah, people are, like we said, maybe people are even more open to spirituality on Halloween, but like in a darker way, because they see movies that are scary movies. They see all these things. But once again, like if there's a group of Christians who want to celebrate and dress up and have fun, right? Like, everything you do unto the Lord, and you're with a group of people that's not like having a sinful thing doing it, then you just can't see how it's wrong. And people might say like, well, we shouldn't Christianize a holiday that's no longer a Christian, or we shouldn't do that because if it is mainly now in our culture something that's bad, then we should just have nothing to do with it. We shouldn't try to kind of save it. I just don't. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this. I just haven't verified it in a while. But the holidays that Yahweh gave the Jews when they entered the Promised Land, I'm pretty sure aligned either on the same day or around the same time as the pagan holidays around them. From the other nations around them, like the Canaanites had a holiday, and I think the Lord established a holiday on the same day. And then kind of the mindset there is like, okay, yeah, God gave his people a holiday on the same day the pagans have their holiday, so that his people would have something to do on that day, and they wouldn't be tempted to be lured off to the darkness, right? So Christians can celebrate Halloween. They can celebrate these holidays in a godly way to kind of give an antidote to that. Like, yes, dressing up could be fun, and seeing what your creative friends are doing is great, and any excuse to hang out with friends is a good thing. So rather than, being tempted to go to a club or, go to a party where people are going to be dressed promiscuously, like, why not have a Christian party where people can go and have the safety of, having holiness and community there? So it's kind of even like more of just a cultural, like where we stand culturally right now take. Now,
Sure.
Waikiki during Halloween, it's crazy. The worst. I drove Uber one night or Lyft one night on a Halloween night, and like Waikiki, downtown Honolulu, bro, was crazy packed. Like barely any standing room on the sidewalk. Honestly, it would be a great time to do some evangelism. So that's another thing. If there's gatherings, go do evangelism. If people are open to spirituality, go share the gospel with them. Be like, hey man, you were trying to like kind of flirt with the darkness, and God wants to meet you. You were trying to do all this like questionable stuff, and God wants to actually go after you. God comes to you when you're, I don't know, off the rails, and people could get saved. So, we can't just let the devil copyright the day because some people say that the Satanists said these things.
True. To do that would be to give ground to the enemy for no reason. Like, if this is something that is of the Lord, which it is, and the enemy has taken it and twisted it, like, we have every right to kick the enemy out of the land that he's stolen from the Lord and like take it back and make it our own again, right? Like, we should celebrate this in an intentional way. Like, it's my belief that as Christians, we should celebrate Halloween, and we should show the world the darker side of Christianity. And that might sound weird to some people, but in the Bible, there's a lot of very dark images. There's like death itself is a very dark thing. There's a lot of grief, and the Bible tells us how to grieve with each other even. And so we have a really hard time with that in our culture, but dark imagery like death and remembering those things, feeling sad over them, grieving with people, and then realizing what Christ has done with his death and resurrection and the victory that he's won over death, it are very real attributes of what it means to be Christian and things that need to be observed and celebrated. And so it is a valuable holiday that I think Christians should celebrate in an intentional way. And maybe that looks different from the culture. Maybe that doesn't look too different from the culture. I think for some people, it can be neutral. Like, obviously, Halloween isn't established by the Bible or something like that, so you don't have to celebrate it. I just think it would be a useful thing. You could also just celebrate Halloween normally, like the culture does, not participate in any sinful activities, and you're good to go, right? Like, it has no negative roots. And so you're just, like Ethan said, you're just celebrating with friends. You're not sinning. Like, you're doing something that's great. You're having fellowship with people. You're just being a normal human being. You could evangelize. You could do whatever you want. So do I think it could be encouraging, edifying, building up to some people if you were intentional and celebrated it as a church or something in a really good way? 100%. Could be really cool. Is it a good opportunity for evangelism? 100%. You could do that after or something like that. Could you just do it normally with your friends and your kids or whatever? Yeah, you could just do it normally and just have it be a neutral thing too. Not that big of a deal in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with the spirit of what you're saying. Two things specifically that you mentioned that I think I would probably not agree with is that this holiday was given to us by God. I don't see any Christian holidays as like, I don't look at them as like given to us by God. I just look at them as like Christians wanted to remember these things, so we started it. But I wouldn't say like with Catholic, or like, you could say Christmas and Easter were given to us because Jesus came here and he was crucified. But Jesus didn't establish those dates as holidays. Christians did in remembrance. So I would just not say the technicalities of like God gave us those days. But then also, I don't know if I believe or agree with that the Bible has dark themes. So if you want to explain that, because I'm sure some people were questioning that, and I'm like, I just can't think of any that come to mind right now as far as like what dark pictures the Bible shows. Because someone would push back and say like, God is light, and in him there is no darkness. So what do you mean?
I think I explained it pretty well. Like, death is a very real part of our life, and the Bible describes there's a whole book about it, like about how life is fleeting and everybody's gonna die, and like remembering that is just the whole book of Ecclesiastes.
Mhm.
And so I ended that whole sentence by saying, yes, like Christ did win victory over death, but it doesn't mean it's still a very real part of our life that needs to be observed and understood. That we learn how to grieve with people, and we understand that people have died, and then in context we realize what Christ's victory is in that context. So like Ecclesiastes, and there are lots of Psalms and there's Proverbs that are all very dark in their imagery and their themes. And so I don't think it's bad to remember the lamenting parts of Scripture as well.
Right. I agree with that sentiment right there. And definitely if we as Christians in trying to like show the culture that Halloween can have a deep meaning, because right now it's a pretty shallow holiday in our culture, right?
Sure.
If we could bring back the depth of remembering mortality and then have a celebration the following day of All Saints Day, you have that beautiful picture of the resurrection where it's like, hey, we're celebrating this remembrance of mortality. And then we're following up immediately with this remembrance of the new life that's promised and that God is going to raise us up and that there is hope. And so that's a super cool pairing where if it would be like, you know, it was like Hallows Eve and All Hallows Eve and All Hallows Day or All Saints Day. If it was like if we did that again, like a Christmas Eve, Christmas combo kind of thing, where we did like Halloween, All Saints Day combo, where one is remembering the morbidity of this life, the hardships of this life, and the next day is celebrating the joy of the Lord, the salvation that we have, that would go hard. And then churches could have really deep like services where they have that, where it's like, hey, we're going to gather, we're going to worship, we're going to have a service, and then we're going to go around and trunk or treat in anticipation, like even throughout our hardship, throughout the hardships of life, we're still looking for the treasures of Christ. That's why we're doing the trunk or treat or the trick or treat. It's because we're looking, and you know, God says that you ask and you will receive. So we're practicing this in the midst of our morbidity. And then tomorrow we're celebrating the promise of the kingdom. And that would be so sick.
Be super sick. I love that idea. Yee. There's a really cool topic that I think is brought out by this. And that's the idea that, I guess, the debate between like how much does the spiritual realm affect you? Because I don't think there's much debate among Christians anymore on the fact that Christians can celebrate Halloween. Like there's a small faction of people that don't think they can, and the majority of people think it's either neutral or good to celebrate Halloween because of its Christian origins. Okay. But where there does seem to be a debate is on these like ex-witch and like Satanist videos of people saying like how much power and how like much the devil like looks forward to this day, and staying away from it for those spiritual reasons, or that people might even be in danger because of like in the video we watched at the beginning, we might be in danger because of the curses witches are putting on us, or what the enemy is going to do in our neighborhoods because of what other people have given him power to do, basically. Like the agreements that they've made with him, people in your neighborhood, or which is putting curses on your house or on objects or on costumes or on candy. Like I've seen all of those videos. And so people being wary of participating in it because of all of the seeming excitement that witches or Satanists have about the holiday. That's where I think the debate kind of would be good to talk about. Like how much should we respect the power that the enemy has and how much he loves this day and that kind of stuff. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think it's a great one that people are probably asking. And I have an idea. I wonder if it's true. So, like, let me share it, and then you let me know what you think. How much of what the spiritual realm can do to us has to do with intent? I'm thinking like the guy said that if your neighbor sets up these decorations, you are partaking in a satanic ritual. Well, does that mean that if a Christian puts up decorations, that would be of like spiders and bats and stuff? Is that partaking, and pumpkins, even a Christian carving pumpkins? is that partaking in a satanic ritual? Because no Christian putting up decorations would intentionally, from their heart, be like, I'm going to do a satanic ritual, right? That's not what we would be doing. It would be like for the fun and joy of decorating for the season. And so I just don't believe that that Christian is partaking in a satanic holiday or a satanic ritual by merely carving pumpkins, because their intention is not that. And the Bible says that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And so how could a Christian be susceptible to a satanic ritual by merely just carving pumpkins and, putting up bats and that stuff? Like, what is
also
it?
has Christian origins.
What's that?
I said, which also has Christian origins.
Right. But yeah, but like for those people, I'm curious what they would say, because it's like, yeah, like I think in order you have to knowingly participate in like a satanic ritual. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong?
I would say a couple.
You
things.
can have a tax put on you. Sorry.
Yeah. It depends on how do I say this correctly? It depends on if you're walking with the Lord or not, right? Like, think of like King David, like asking the Lord to not take his spirit from him. Like, you cannot know if the Lord's spirit has departed from you and just be like doing your thing, and you have no idea like if you're doing it for the Lord or not, because you're not actually walking with him, which is a scary thought, right? So it's good to be intentional with the Lord and like know where you're at with him. And so you could be this is a good example. Maybe you're a Christian, you go to church every once in a while, and you start drinking, it becomes a little bit of a problem. You start partying a little bit, you start listening to music you maybe shouldn't, and watching shows you shouldn't, and all of a sudden your life, and you're not really reading the Bible that much, you're going to church every once in a while, and all of a sudden your life just looks like every other person that lives in America. Like, that is not someone who's intentionally like trying to follow the Lord and distinguish themselves as a follower of Christ. Not that you can't look like the world in like some of the ways. Like, it's fine to like cool music and watch cool shows, right? I'm not saying that's bad, but there's like a clear division in between like what Christians participate in and what we don't. And so I think that can be co-opted in the same way and like applied to this situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, definitely, like, yeah, if you can stray from the presence of the Lord and think you're doing it for God, and even Jesus says, well, some of us will come to him and say, Lord, Lord, and he'll say, I don't know you.
So in that way, you can participate. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
In that way, you could participate with something demonic and like not know of it, because it's like cooking a frog, right? Like, it's just a slow process that like it's gradual. You don't realize that it's happening. But I don't think that if you're a Christian, like you're filled with the Holy Spirit, that you could be spiritually possessed or oppressed or something because you ate a piece of candy that has a curse on it or something like that, or that your house is cursed because of like witches in the area. Like, I don't have so little of a view of my God that I would think I could be so negatively influenced by something like that.
Well, people can put curses on you for sure. Like, you could have witches in your neighborhood, and they probably know that you're a Christian, and they are putting curses on you. And if you do have an open door somehow, or like, some complacency, or maybe some type of sin problem, there's could be something, or maybe it's a temptation to feel angry that they're putting on you. Obviously, I believe that you're protected, but I do think you can be attacked by witches, and that can have real effects there, for sure. And even like,
I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, I think I've heard enough stories from people who've done a lot more, like when we had Lindsay's dad on, Mr. Laidlaw, Rob Laidlaw, to talk about that. And it seems like, yeah, Christians can be definitely attacked. And if you don't know what's going on, then, you need to go do something. And something that I experience often is I often wake up at 3 a.m. And, that's a classic hour that witches are putting curses out. So I take that as the Lord waking me up to pray and do spiritual warfare. And I also take that as maybe the witches are trying to mess up my sleep. But usually I'm like, oh, maybe the Lord wants me to pray against that. So yeah, I would think that Christians can be attacked. And if you're not aware of that, if you're ignorant to that, you can be susceptible to attacks. Especially after going to Fiji, bro. Their worldview is so open to the spiritual world that's like they like literally are like, if any they I don't know, we could have our Fijian friend on and they have stories. I can't get into it all right now because it's so much and off topic. Sure. But I do believe that Christians can be attacked, and if you're not aware, it can have an effect on you, won't forfeit your soul. But then the next question I have regarding that is like, okay, but what does it mean that no weapon formed against me will prosper? Does that mean like inherently, like I'm bulletproof, kind of like Superman walking around, no weapon formed against me shall prosper? So someone could be trying to shoot me and I don't know because I'm bulletproof, so I just have no problems? Or like, God's a force field around me, so I have no problems? Or does it mean no weapon formed against me shall prosper, meaning like I might get attacked, but I will not be taken out, and I might get hurt, but I will get back up. Does that make sense? Like whether it's like a overcoming of the person or if it's like general attacks. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I mean, my worldview, I don't think I have like a weak view of who God is. I'm not trying to say you do necessarily, but like if God has defeated death and the devil and all of his schemes, like there's no witch that could put a curse on me. They could do anything to me if I have the power of God in me. And so they could try to do something and I'm just going to cancel in the name of Jesus and it's not going to have no effect on me.
Well, right.
Like,
so they can put a curse on you, but you just canceled it.
Yeah, but I don't even think that like if you're living with the Lord and like with just every Christian that's filled with the Spirit, like you're impervious to the attacks of the enemy unless you let it in intentionally, is my worldview.
Right.
Like
right.
If maybe you said yes to the enemy in some way, like where you're, even if it's an unintentional way and you're slowly doing it, like the kind of content you let into your eyes or your ears, then you can be giving footholds to the enemy. But I don't think you can do anything that's like unintentional. Like you couldn't like bring a Harry Potter shirt home and now like one of your kids gonna get possessed or like you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because we have had friends who went to the missions field and I guess this is their story, right? Again, more of that. It's kind of like a trust me logic, still trust me, bro logic. But this one I trust more because I know the person personally. But they said they had a friend who went on a mission trip to Kenya and brought back some souvenirs, and then all of a sudden they started seeing spirits walking around their house and like spiritual things started happening. And they were like, what's going on? And one of their friend confessed, like, I just wanted to see if it was true. And they had brought a witchcraft mask back and that had like a curse on it. And they were starting to see demons walk around. And so they got rid of the mask and they repented and it stopped. Now, maybe that's different than what you're saying because that person had heard, oh, this is a thing that happens. Let me see if it's true. Not so much ignorance.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but do you think you could have an open door or a foothold out of ignorance?
I mean, it's hard to say like the word is ignorance because you're making intentional choices to let the enemy into your life. And I'm going to use the example again of the media you watch. Like you're making a lapse in judgment and a lot of them over time lead to big outcomes. And so it seems like ignorance, but it's really just small intentional actions that you don't realize are negative. But I don't like, for example, let's say a witch sneaks into my house and puts a cursed artifact in it. I didn't bring it in. It was put into my house. I don't think that's going to have any agreement with the enemy or cause me to be possessed or cause me not to be able to sleep at night or something. The Lord might reveal to me and be like, get out of your house or throw it away or something like that. But I don't think that I'm going to be like suffering because of that necessarily.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like the stories of friends I have who've had spiritual encounters like this. Now I agree the Lord would say, get that out. But I had friends who had a similar situation where they like were in a house and spiritual things were happening and they started praying like, God, what's going on? And one of them got a vision of a picture frame in their house. And so they went to it and there was like, I don't know, something about that picture they felt was demonic. So they got the picture out of their house and all the things stopped. And so it's like they weren't the owners of the picture. Like someone had it. It was like a YWAM house. And so someone before them had brought that in. But yeah, like again, the Lord revealed it. And so it's like, and the Lord could be allowing those things to happen because he wants to get your attention, because he wants it out of the house. Not so much that it's happening because the demons are getting their way, if that makes sense. That's one way to look at that. But yeah, I guess I'm just questioning now. That's kind of sidetracked on like spiritual warfare and artifacts and how much our will is complicit in that stuff. But it does matter because it goes back to like, can you just? I don't think you can just decorate your house and all of a sudden you let demons in because you set up a pumpkin. Right. Like pumpkins are created by God as fruit and they look pretty.
Right.
Like what do you do? Like, you know, it's getting back on topic there.
Yeah. And like the enemy is going to be the enemy. He's going to be Mr. Evil, 365 days of the year. Like there isn't one special day where he's like super powered evil and we got to like shelter in place so that he doesn't get you or something like that. Like our God is the victor in every day of the year, right? Like for all of eternity, he's the victor. Even before like Christ died, like Abraham is still saved by the victory of Christ. And so like, I'm just not afraid of the day, especially with his origins being Christian. Like the enemy can do whatever he wants any day of the week. I don't care. He's defeated, right? Like I can go out and do evangelism. I can pray against, or maybe pray for the salvation or against the schemes of witches or evil or something like that. I can do all those things. But like me personally, like I'm not afraid of the enemy in that way because I have no reason to fear.
Yeah, and also it's kind of like, even if they're gathering to do a bunch of witchcraft, if they did it on August 17th for some arbitrary reason, would that mean that that day is owned by the devil? It wouldn't. It would just mean Christians got to be aware and make sure we're prayed up and praying for people and, doing what we can. So the same logic then kind of applies to Halloween where it's like, okay, so just because they're organizing potentially to do more witchcraft, it doesn't mean that means that Halloween's now wrong. Yeah, that's kind of how I land.
Very true. I mean, you could tell somebody, like say you're talking to a new Christian about this, right? Then you could be intentional and be like, hey, look, as a Christian, we don't celebrate Halloween this way. Like this way of celebrating Halloween is evil. Like this is the way that like this thing glorifies the enemy. Let's say you're dressed up as a demon or something like that. Like we don't want to dress up as demons because it's evil. Unless maybe you're doing something real specific, which I feel might feel uncomfortable about, of like I'm dressing up as a demon to make fun of them because of how much power they've lost to God. Maybe
that'd be pretty lame.
I still would.
I would just say don't do it.
That.
There's no reason you have anything. You don't need to dress up like a demon. There's just you don't want to draw unneeded attention to the work of the devil.
Sure. I have a funny opinion about that. I think we don't draw enough attention to it a lot of the time. Like I think people like try to get evil out of every movie, and I think there should be more evil in a lot of movies. But just to exemplify it more and show like the result of evil is bad stuff.
Do you think that people don't put that in movies enough?
Yeah, dude, every movie has a good ending.
Oh,
Everyone
because that's the story of the gospel. Good triumphs over evil. That's the gospel right there.
But that's not the story of a lot of people's lives. A lot of people give in to evil and their lives spiral downhill or uphill in bad directions. Like
they're trying to
see more evil.
The art shows them how they're supposed to live their life.
Right. I'm just saying, like Christians, like they're like, get witchcraft out of every movie, like get the bad guy out of every movie, like it's gotta be just like good the whole time.
Vanilla.
And I can't handle it.
Yeah, we don't need vanilla. Story. Yeah. Vanilla stories aren't always good stories. And here's the thing too, some people might have like, while we're on the topic of witchcraft and all this stuff, Harry Potter, I saw it for the first time last year. Bro, it has so much Jesus imagery. And everything that is demonic and bad, the bad guys are doing.
Loses. Yeah.
I'm like, wait, this is telling you all the bad, like, this is what bad guys do. Like, one of the bad guys possessed a girl. And I'm like, that's what demons do. The bad guys do
That's a bad guy.
Yeah, that's a bad guy. That's bad because good people don't possess things. And like every form of witchcraft that's like true and evil, the bad guys were doing. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is just telling you the truth. And then like the ending of Harry Potter, oh my gosh, that's a picture of Jesus, like crazy. And I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Some myths that I might want to talk about too, like for example, Samhain. where, and a lot of people say this now, like that Halloween is the day where the veil between the spiritual realm and the physical realm is the thinnest. Like,
Yeah, that sounds very Gnostic.
From who? Like, according
From
to
who?
who? Like,
Of course.
like,
I'm sorry, I have the Holy Spirit
according
every
to
day.
a witch? Yeah, like I don't know who told you that, right? Like, upon whose authority is that true?
Yeah,
Because
and
the
how do you
Bible
know?
doesn't tell me that.
How do you know?
Yeah, if a witch told you that and a demon told a witch that, who's to say that the father of lies is not lying to that person?
Exactly,
right?
bro.
Like that. What? There's no way to substantiate that. Like, maybe that's the day where people feel more free to be openly evil. 100%.
It's like
Like,
placebo.
this is obviously true. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that like there's a veil between the realms that one day is going to be destroyed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree very much with that sentiment because, like, how do you know and what does that mean? Because I'm a Christian and I hang out with God every single day of my life. I don't feel him closer on Halloween than I do other. I feel him a little bit different in the Eucharist, but I don't feel like on Halloween any special things happening. You know, and I'm sensitive. I hope I'm sensitive to the spirit. I think I should probably pray more for sensitivity to the spiritual world. But I don't feel any more than. Now, it might be like gray or closer because more people are opening themselves up to that possibility. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like, oh, the veil is thinner. It's like, well, the veil's only thinner because all of you guys are saying that and you're more open to that. If all of you guys stopped saying that and didn't believe that, it wouldn't be. Like, you're making it like that.
Sure.
The demons are hearing you say, the veil's thinner. Now the demons are like, hey, they're open to us messing with them. Let's go get them.
Yep. Only veil I care about is the one that was torn on Christ's death.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
Come on.
And that no longer exists. So we have full access to the Father now.
Oh,
through
yeah.
Jesus Christ. So I don't care about that at all. It's just a myth. Like, there isn't some superpower Satan has that God allows him to have or that he's acquired that he's been like charging up all year just for Halloween. Like, doesn't exist. You don't have to live in fear. You don't have to like sit in your room afraid. You don't have to like hunker down in your church and fearfully pray that nothing bad happens to you. Like, you have full authority, full confidence in God. There's nothing you should fear because the King of the universe that even created all of the demons that decided to rebel, he's on your side and he lives actually within you. And so there's no reason that you need to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah, we haven't
Me
been
too.
given the spirit of fear. And don't sin when you celebrate Halloween. Just go have fun. And guess what? If you feel convicted not to, don't. That's awesome.
Yep.
I'm not going to convince you out of your conviction. You know, it's
Right.
not going to waste my time doing that. I just want to bring some help to people who might be stressed out about this, trying to figure it out. So that's why we're
True.
here.
Very true.
All right, guys.
All righty, y'all. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.
Shoots.